I took the job because I needed $12,000 before March and because nobody else wanted to work Christmas week on a shuttered film lot in the mountains. The ad said overnight maintenance, solo shifts, housing included, cash on completion. No background check, no references. Just a phone interview where a woman named Petra asked if I could follow instructions exactly and if I had problems with isolation or cold. I said no to both. She said good. Someone would meet me at the main gate on December 23rd at 6 p.m. The drive up took 4 hours through deteriorating weather. The lot sat 30 miles past the last real town, tucked into a valley that production companies used when they needed pine forests and period architecture without permits. The access road wound through state forest, unmarked except for a small wooden sign that said Pine Ridge Studios, private. Snow was already falling hard when I arrived, fat flakes that stuck to my windshield faster than the wipers could clear them. The gate was open. A pickup truck idled in the small parking area beyond it, exhaust clouding white in the headlights. I pulled in next to it and a man got out, collar up, hands shoved in a canvas jacket. He was maybe 60, lean, with a face that looked like it had spent decades squinting into weather. "You're the new guy," he said, not a question. "Yeah, I'm supposed to meet." "Petra's gone home before the roads close. I'm Dutch. I've been covering nights this week, but I'm done after tonight. You ready to start now?" I looked at the snow coming down, then back at him. "I thought I started tomorrow. Weather's moving in. They want coverage through the storm. You get paid from now, same rate." He gestured toward the gate. "Come on, I'll show you the route before it gets worse." I grabbed my duffel and followed him through the gate on foot. He locked it behind us with a heavy padlock and pocketed the key, then handed me an identical key on a red plastic tag. "This stays on you. Gate locks at 1800. You unlock it at 0600. Exactly, not 558, not 602. "Why exactly?" He gave me a look that suggested I just asked a stupid question. "Because that's the rule. You'll get the full list. Come on." The lot was bigger than I expected. We walked down a paved lane between 2 rows of false front buildings, western storefronts, and brick tenements that backed onto timber frames and darkness. Street lamps placed every 30 yards gave the lane a sodium orange glow that barely penetrated the snow. Dutch walked fast, hands still in his pockets, and I had to lengthen my stride to keep up. "Main Street here, that's your primary route. You walk it every 2 hours, full loop, starting at 2000 and ending at 0400. Takes 40 minutes if you don't dawdle. You'll log start and finish times in the notebook at the office." "What am I looking for?" "Doors, windows, breaches. You check every door on the route, make sure it's secure. You don't open them. You check the handle, confirm it's locked, move on. If a door's open that shouldn't be, you note it, you close it, you move on. You don't go inside." We turned left at the end of the main street onto a narrower lane that curved behind the facades. Here the illusion broke completely. Raw plywood, scaffolding, stacks of lumber under tarps, electrical boxes mounted on posts. Dutch stopped at a low cinder block building with a metal door and a single fixture above it. He unlocked the door with a different key, this one on a blue tag, and flicked on the lights inside. The office was 12 by 12, concrete floor, a desk with a rolling chair, a space heater, a microwave, a mini fridge, and a cot shoved against the back wall. A corkboard on the wall held a map of the lot, a calendar, and a laminated sheet covered in typed text. A black 3-ring binder sat on the desk next to a spiral notebook and a radio handset in a charging cradle. "This is home," Dutch said. "Heater works. Fridge has water and some basics. You brought food?" "Enough." "Good. Cell service is shit up here and it'll be worse in the storm. You use the radio, channel 4. Petra monitors it from 0600 to 1800. Emergencies only overnight, but she checks in every morning at 0600 sharp. You confirm you're intact and report any issues. You don't use the radio for anything else. You don't change the channel. He pointed to the corkboard. That's your map. That's your route marked in yellow. And that's your rule set. Read it tonight. Follow it exactly. No shortcuts. No interpretations. If something isn't on the list, you don't do it. I stepped closer to read the laminated sheet. It was titled Overnight Maintenance Protocols, Winter Season in block letters, followed by a numbered list. I'll do the 2000 walk with you, Dutch said. After that, you're on your own. I'm out at midnight when my shift technically ends. Petra will be back on the 26th at 0600 if the roads are clear. If they're not, you keep the routine until she radios otherwise. You get paid for every shift you complete. Understood? Yeah. Read the list now, all of it. Then we walk. He sat in the desk chair and pulled out his phone, apparently content to wait. I read the laminated sheet. Overnight maintenance protocols, winter season. 1. Gate locks at 1800 hours. Gate unlocks at 0600 hours. Use red key. No exceptions. 2. Walking route begins at 2000, 2200, midnight, 0200, and 0400. Log start and finish times in the notebook. Route must take between 35 and 45 minutes. Do not deviate. 3. Check all doors on the route. Do not open them. If a door is open, close it and move on. Do not enter. 4. Between 2200 and 0300, all windows on Main Street must remain dark. If you see light inside a building during this window, do not approach the building. Note the location and continue your route. 5. The saloon building is always locked. Do not attempt to open it. Do not look through the windows. 6. If you hear voices during your route, do not respond. Continue walking at normal pace. 7. The red storage shed behind the hotel facade is off limits. Do not approach it between 2000 and 0500. 8. If you encounter another person on the lot between 1800 and 0600, do not acknowledge them. Maintain your route. 9. At midnight exactly, check the exterior door of the church set. It must be closed. If it is open, close it. Return to the office and do not perform the midnight route. Resume routes at 0200. 10. Radio check at 0600 only. State your name and shift complete, no issues, or specify issues. Wait for Petra's acknowledgement before unlocking the gate. 11. If the power fails, remain in the office. Do not perform walking routes during a power failure. Wait for power restoration or dawn, whichever comes first. 12. Do not use the bathroom in the Opera House building. Use the office facility only. 13. Footsteps on gravel behind you are normal maintenance sounds. Do not turn around to check. 14. If you see movement in the trees beyond the perimeter fence, note the time and location in the notebook. Do not investigate. I read it twice. Some of it made sense: locked gates, timed routes, basic security. Some of it felt like superstition dressed up as policy. I pointed to number 13. Footsteps are normal. Dutch looked up. Gravel shifts, buildings settle, you'll hear it, just keep walking. And number 8, if I see another person, I ignore them. You're alone on this shift. If you see someone, they're not supposed to be here. You don't engage. You finish your route and you note it in the log. Petra handles it in the morning. What if they're in trouble? They're not. He stood up. It's 1955, let's go. We left the office and Dutch locked it behind us with the blue key, which he then handed to me. Office key. Keep both keys on you at all times. Don't set them down. Don't leave them in the office. The snow was heavier now. Accumulation already visible on the ground, maybe 2 inches. Dutch led me back to the main street and we began the route. He moved with the efficiency of someone who'd walked this loop 100 times, pausing at each building just long enough to rattle the door handle and confirm it was locked. The buildings had names painted above their doors: General Store, Post Office, Boarding House, Hotel Congress. Each one dark, each one locked. At the saloon, Dutch didn't touch the door. He just glanced at it and kept walking. The windows were covered from the inside with something dark fabric or paint. I couldn't tell in the dim light and falling snow. You don't check the saloon, he said. You walk past it. That's the rule. Why? Because it's the rule. He kept walking. The route curved behind the false fronts, past the storage areas and generator housings and the backs of sets. We passed the red storage shed, which was just a prefab metal box, maybe 10 feet by 8, no windows, one door with a hasp and padlock. Dutch gave it a wide berth, walking at least 15 yards around it. Between 2000 and 0500, you don't go near it, he said. After 0500 until 1800, it's fine, but overnight, you route around it. What's in it? Don't know, not our concern. We completed the loop and returned to the office at 2038. Dutch checked his watch and nodded. 38 minutes. That's good. You'll get faster, but don't rush. The timing matters. He picked up the notebook from the desk and showed me the logged entries. Columns for date, route start time, route end time, and notes. The last week of entries were all in the same handwriting, Dutch's, presumably. No notes column was filled except for one on December 20th. Door ajar, boarding house secured. You log every route. Start time when you leave the office, end time when you get back. If something's wrong, you note it, but keep it factual. No speculation. Okay. The binder has maintenance contacts, emergency numbers, and the amendment sheet. If Petra radios you an update to the protocols, you write it in the binder and you follow it. Clear? Clear. He glanced at his watch again. I'm doing the 2200 route and then I'm gone. You'll do midnight on your own. After that, you're the only one here until the 26th. Stay warm, stay on schedule, follow the list. Got it. One more thing. He met my eyes. The rules sound strange. I get it. But they exist because people didn't follow them and things went bad. I don't know the history. I don't want to. I just know that if you follow the list exactly, you'll be fine. Don't improvise. Don't test them. Don't try to figure out why. Just do the job. I can do that. He nodded, satisfied, and left the office. I sat in the desk chair and looked at the map on the wall. The lot was maybe 20 acres, most of it clustered around the main street and the perimeter fence that enclosed the entire property. Beyond the fence, forest. The access road came in from the south, and there was a service road marked on the north side, also gated, labeled Utility Access. I pulled the 3-ring binder off the desk and opened it. Emergency contacts for power company, Petra's cell number, a local sheriff's substation, a hospital 30 miles south. Then a section divider labeled Amendments, behind which were several pages in page protectors. The first one was dated November 10th. Amendment A, effective November 10, 15. Do not accept food or drink from anyone other than yourself. If you find food in the office that you did not bring, dispose of it in the outside dumpster immediately. 16. The mirror in the office bathroom is covered for maintenance. Do not remove the cover. 17. If the radio activates on its own outside of 0600 check-in, do not respond. Turn the volume down and wait for silence. 18. Between midnight and 0300, the church bell may ring once. This is normal. If it rings more than once, return to the office immediately and do not leave until 0500. The second page was dated December 2nd. Amendment B, effective December 2, 19. During snow conditions, check the perimeter fence at the northeast corner during your 0400 route. If there are tracks leading into the lot from the forest, note the time and location. Do not follow the tracks. 20. The Opera House building must remain locked at all times. If you find the door unlocked, do not enter. Lock it with the master key on the blue keyring and return to the office. 21. If you hear knocking from inside any building, do not respond. Continue your route. The pages were coldly bureaucratic. Additions stacked on additions. each one implying something that had happened to necessitate the rule. I thought about Dutch's words. Things went bad. I didn't ask what things. I didn't want to know. At 21:45, Dutch came back, snow crusted on his shoulders. 2200 route, he said. You're walking it with me. After this, you're solo. We walked the route again in silence. The snow was coming down sideways now, wind picking up, visibility down to maybe 40 feet. The sodium lamps created little cones of orange light in the white chaos. Every door was locked. The saloon remained dark and sealed. We skirted the red shed. When we returned to the office at 2332, Dutch checked the notebook, nodded, and pulled his jacket tighter. You're set. Midnight route is yours. Petra will check in at 0600 tomorrow. If the storm's as bad as they say, you might be on your own for 3 or 4 days. You've got food? Enough. Water in the fridge. Heater works. You'll be fine. He paused at the door. Follow the list. Don't overthink it. Then he was gone, his truck starting up beyond the gate, headlights sweeping through the snow before disappearing down the access road. I heard the gate clang shut, the padlock click. Then just the wind and the faint hum of the space heater. I was alone. I made a sandwich from the supplies in my duffel, boiled water in the microwave for instant coffee, and sat at the desk watching the clock. Midnight approached with the slow weight of inevitability. At 23:55, I put on my jacket, grabbed the flashlight from the desk drawer, and checked that both keys were in my pocket. The office key, the gate key. The radio sat in its cradle, green light indicating a full charge. I left it there, channel 4, emergencies only. At exactly midnight, I left the office and began the route. The wind was worse now, gusting hard enough to rock the lighter set pieces. Snow piled against the false fronts, drifting across the main street. My flashlight beam dissolved into white chaos after 15 feet. I walked the route by memory, counting buildings, checking doors, general store, locked, post office, locked, boarding house, locked. Each door handle was cold enough to sting, even through my gloves. The saloon loomed ahead, dark and shuttered. I walked past it without slowing. The windows were covered with black fabric tacked tight to the frames. No light escaped, no sound. I completed the main street section and turned behind the facades. Here the wind was a constant roar, funneled between the buildings. I passed stacks of lumber, equipment sheds, generator housings. Everything battened down, everything still. The red storage shed sat in its clearing, snow already piled against the windward side. I routed around it, giving it the same wide berth Dutch had given it, and continued toward the church set at the far end of the lot. The church was a full building, not a facade. A white clapboard structure with a small steeple and a set of double doors painted red. The doors were closed. I walked up the 3 steps to the small landing, gripped the right-hand door handle, and pulled. Locked. I pulled the left. Locked. Both secure. Rule 9. At midnight exactly, check the exterior door of the church set. It must be closed. If it is open, close it. Return to the office, and do not perform the midnight route. Resume routes at 0200. The doors were closed. I continued the route. I heard the footsteps when I was halfway back along the rear access lane, moving past the generator housings. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Boots on gravel, slow and steady, maybe 20 feet behind me. I kept walking. Rule 13. Footsteps on gravel behind you are normal maintenance sounds. Do not turn around to check. The footsteps matched my pace. When I sped up slightly, they sped up. When I slowed, they slowed. I forced myself to maintain an even stride, eyes forward, flashlight beam sweeping the path ahead. The footsteps continued all the way back to the main street, then stopped abruptly when I turned the corner. I paused, listening. Just wind, just the creak of wood and metal under snow load. I finished the route and returned to the office at 12:36. I logged the times in the notebook, then sat at the desk and listened to my heart hammer in my chest. Gravel shifts, buildings settle. I didn't turn around. The next 3 hours passed slowly. I tried to sleep on the cot, but the wind was too loud, the building groaning around me, and I kept thinking about those footsteps. Finally, I gave up and sat at the desk, drinking bad coffee, reading the amendment pages over and over. At 01:55, I dressed for the 0200 route. The storm was worse. Visibility down to maybe 20 feet now, drifts climbing the sides of buildings, street lamps barely visible as dim orange smudges. I walked the route with my head down, counting buildings, checking doors. Everything locked, everything still. I didn't hear footsteps this time. But when I passed the Opera House building, I heard knocking from inside. 3 slow knocks. Pause. 3 more knocks. Pause. 3 more. Rule 21. If you hear knocking from inside any building, do not respond. Continue your route. I kept walking. The knocking continued behind me, rhythmic and patient, until distance and wind swallowed the sound. At the church, the doors were closed and locked. At the red shed, I routed wide. At the perimeter fence's northeast corner, I shone my flashlight on the ground near the chain link. There were tracks in the snow, not animal tracks, boot tracks. They came from the forest side of the fence, through the chain link, no, under it, as if someone had squeezed through a gap at ground level and led into the lot toward the main street. I counted 6 distinct boot prints before the snow filled them in. I noted the time in my mind, 02:32. I noted the location, northeast perimeter fence, near utility gate. Rule 19. During snow conditions, check the perimeter fence at the northeast corner during your 0400 route. If there are tracks leading into the lot from the forest, note the time and location. Do not follow the tracks. I did not follow the tracks. I completed the route and returned to the office at 02:41. I logged the time and added a note. Tracks, any perimeter, 02:32. The space heater clicked and hummed. I made more coffee and watched the windows ice over. At 03:55, I started the 0400 route. The storm was at its peak now. Wind strong enough to lean into, snow coming down so thick the world disappeared beyond 10 feet. I walked hunched, flashlight nearly useless, navigating by dead reckoning and memory. I found doors by running my gloved hand along the facades until I hit the frame. Every door was locked. The saloon passed, the red shed avoided, the church secure. At the northeast perimeter fence, I checked for tracks. There were new ones, the same boot prints, leading in through a gap under the chain link I hadn't noticed before, a section where something had dug out a shallow channel beneath the fence, just deep enough for a person to wriggle under. The tracks led into the lot. I shone my light along the trail and saw them curve toward the main street, then vanish in the drifts. I noted the time, 04:25. I did not follow the tracks. I completed the route and returned to the office at 04:44. Logged. Noted. I sat at the desk and stared at the radio. Channel 4. Petra would call at 0600. 3 shifts completed. No issues except tracks and knocking, both covered by the rules. I had followed the protocols exactly. At 05:15, the church bell rang once. A single clear note that cut through the storm, hung in the air, faded. I waited. No second ring. Rule 18. Between midnight and 0300, the church bell may ring once. This is normal. If it rings more than once, return to the office immediately and do not leave until 0500. It was after 0300. The bell rang outside the window specified in the rule. I didn't know if that mattered. I stayed in the office and waited for dawn. At 0600 exactly, the radio crackled. Office, this is Petra. Morning check-in, confirm status. I picked up the handset. Petra, this is... I realized I hadn't given her my name. This is the overnight maintenance. Shift complete. Tracks noted at northeast perimeter fence, O232 and O425. No other issues. Static. Then, acknowledged. Tracks are expected during snow. Maintain current protocols. Roads are closed. Next check-in 0600, December 24th. Do you copy? Copy. Stay warm. Petra out. The radio went silent. I set the handset back in the cradle and looked at the clock. 06:03. I retrieved the gate key from my pocket, left the office, and walked through the storm to the main gate. At 0600 exactly, I'd been 3 minutes late. I unlocked the gate, swung it open, checked the parking area beyond. My car sat buried under 10 inches of snow. No other vehicles, no tracks on the access road. I closed the gate but left it unlocked per protocol. Gate unlocked at 0600 and returned to the office. I was asleep on the cot within minutes, the space heater humming, the storm howling outside. I woke at 1300 to silence. The storm had paused, though the sky remained low and gray. I ate, checked supplies, made coffee. At 1700 I locked the gate again. At 1800 exactly, protocol resumed. At 2000 I began the first route of my second night. The snow was deep now, drifts 3 feet tall in places. The main street a white canyon between the buildings. I walked the route slowly, checking doors, noting conditions. Everything locked, everything still. At the saloon, I didn't slow. At the red shed, I routed wide. At the church, the doors were closed and locked, but there were footprints in the snow on the landing. Boot prints, the same tread pattern I'd seen at the fence. They came up the steps, approached the doors, then turned and descended again, leading away toward the tree line beyond the perimeter fence. The prints were fresh, crisp edges, maybe an hour old. I noted the time 20:34 and continued the route. The prints didn't return. At the northeast fence, the gap under the chain link was larger now, the channel deeper, snow piled on both sides where it had been pushed out. Boot prints led in and out. I counted 3 sets of tracks going in, 3 coming out. I noted the location and time. I completed the route at 20:43, 9 minutes faster than last night. I logged it, noted the tracks, and sat at the desk. The radio remained silent. Outside, the storm resumed, wind building, snow hammering the office window. At 2200, I walked the route again. Fresh boot prints at the church. Gap under the fence now a full 12 inches wide. Something had been digging aggressively. Tracks everywhere in the drifts, crisscrossing the lot, leading from building to building. I followed protocol, checked doors, kept moving, everything locked. At midnight, I walked the route and found the church doors open. Both doors swung wide, revealing darkness inside. Snow had blown in across the threshold, maybe 6 feet into the interior. I stood on the landing, flashlight beam cutting into the dark, and saw pews, a simple altar, a cross on the back wall. Nothing else. No movement, no sound. Rule 9. At midnight exactly, check the exterior door of the church set. It must be closed. If it is open, close it. Return to the office and do not perform the midnight route. Resume routes at 0200. I pulled both doors closed. They shut with a solid double thud. I tested the handles. Locked now. I descended the steps and returned to the office. Midnight 012. I logged the time, noted church doors open, midnight, secured per protocol, and did not leave the office again until 0200. The 0200 route. Church doors closed and locked. Red shed circled wide. Boot prints everywhere. Dozens of them, overlapping trails that went nowhere and everywhere. At the opera house, I heard knocking again, the same slow 3-knock pattern. I kept walking. At the saloon, I saw light in one of the upstairs windows. Rule 4. Between 2200 and 0300, all windows on Main Street must remain dark. If you see light inside a building during this window, do not approach the building. Note the location and continue your route. It was 0234. I noted the time, noted the location: saloon, second floor, west window, and continued walking. The light stayed on behind me, a pale yellow glow that didn't flicker. At the northeast fence, the gap was now 2 feet wide. Something had excavated a full trench under the chain link, deep enough to crawl through without effort. Boot prints led in, led out, led in again. I noted the time and location and moved on. I completed the route at 0309, logged, noted. The space heater clicked on, off, on. The radio sat silent in its cradle. At 0400, I dressed for the final route. The storm had intensified again, visibility near zero, wind screaming. I walked by, touch and memory, counting buildings, checking doors. At the saloon, the upstairs light was off now. It was past 0300, outside the window specified in Rule 4. At the church, doors closed and locked. At the northeast fence, I couldn't tell if there were new tracks. The wind was filling prints as fast as they formed. I completed the route at 0438 and returned to the office. At 0600, Petra called. Office, this is Petra. Morning check-in, confirm status. Petra, this is overnight maintenance. Shift complete. Church doors were open at midnight, secured per protocol. Light observed at saloon, second floor, 0234. Tracks continue at northeast fence. No other issues. Long pause. Then, copy all. Church doors and saloon are noted. Maintain protocols. Roads remain closed. Estimate 2 more days before access is clear. Supplies adequate? Yes. Next check-in 0600 December 25th, Petra out. I unlocked the gate, checked the parking area empty, no tracks, and returned to the office. I slept. The third night began like the others. Gate locked at 1800, route at 2000. Everything locked, everything still. Boot prints everywhere, but no sign of the person making them. I walked the routes, logged the times, noted anomalies. At midnight, the church doors were closed. At 0200, the opera house knocked, slow and patient. At 0400, the snow slowed and the stars appeared in gaps between clouds. At 0600, Petra called. I reported. She acknowledged. Roads still closed. Next check-in, December 26th. It was Christmas Day. I ate a protein bar and slept. The fourth night started differently. At 1900, an hour before the first route, I heard voices outside the office. Conversation. 2 people, maybe 3, talking casually about weather and roads and equipment. The voices circled the building, passed the window, moved toward the main street. I stood at the window and looked out into darkness and falling snow. I saw nothing. Rule 6. If you hear voices during your route, do not respond. Continue walking at normal pace. The rule said, during your route. I was in the office. I was not en route. But the principle seemed clear. I sat back down and waited. At 2000, I began the route. The voices were gone. Everything else was the same: locked doors, boot prints, the saloon dark, the red shed avoided. At the church, I found the doors open again. I closed them, returned to the office per protocol, waited until 0200. The 0200 route, knocking at the opera house, light in the saloon window at 0228, boot prints at the fence, church doors closed, route completed at 0304. At 0330, someone knocked on the office door. 3 slow knocks, pause. 3 more knocks, pause. I sat at the desk and did not move. There was no rule about knocking on the office door. Rule 21 covered knocking from inside buildings. Rule 6 covered voices during routes. There was no rule for this. Dutch had said if something wasn't on the list, don't do it. I interpreted that to mean if something happens that isn't covered, default to non-engagement. The knocking continued. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. patient, methodical. It went on for 5 minutes, then stopped. I heard boots crunching on gravel, moving away toward the main street. At 0400, I walked the final route. Everything locked, everything dark. The northeast fence gap was now 3 feet wide, a full tunnel under the chain link, packed snow on both sides, boot prints everywhere. I noted it, completed the route, returned to the office at 0439. At 0600, Petra called. Office, this is Petra. Morning check-in. Confirm status. Petra, this is overnight maintenance. Shift complete. Church doors open at midnight, secured per protocol. Light at saloon 0228. Knocking on office door at 0330, did not respond. Tracks at northeast fence, gap now approximately 3 feet wide. No other issues. Long silence. Then, copy all. You did the right thing with the office door. Do not answer knocks on the office door under any circumstances. Tracks and gap are noted. Roads are clearing. I will be on site tomorrow morning at 0600. One more shift. Maintain protocols. You're doing well. Petra out. I unlocked the gate. The access road was still buried, but I could see where a plow had made a first pass during the night. A narrow corridor of pavement visible. I returned to the office and slept. The 5th night. The last night. Gate locked at 1800. Route at 2000. I walked through cold and darkness and the familiar architecture of the protocols. Doors locked. Shed avoided. Saloon passed. Church checked and secure. Tracks everywhere. The lot now cross-hatched with boot prints that led in meaningless circles and spirals. At the northeast fence, I crouched and examined the gap. The tunnel was now 4 feet wide and 18 inches tall, enough for an adult to crawl through easily. The chain link had been bent upward, the bottom edge forced up and back. I shone my light into the forest beyond and saw trees and snow and nothing else. I noted the time 2038 and stood to continue the route. There was someone standing at the edge of the cleared area 15 yards away, just beyond my flashlight beam. A figure in a dark coat, hood up, facing me, not moving. Rule 8. If you encounter another person on the lot between 1800 and 0600, do not acknowledge them. Maintain your route. I turned and walked away at normal pace. Behind me, I heard boots on snow, slow and steady, following. I didn't look back. I completed the route and returned to the office at 2039. I logged it. No mention of the figure. The rule said, do not acknowledge. Acknowledgement included writing about it. At 2200, I walked the route and saw 3 figures. One by the saloon, one behind the hotel facade, one at the tree line near the service road gate, each one still, watching. I acknowledged none of them. I checked doors. I maintained pace. I completed the route. At midnight, the church doors were open. I closed them, locked them, returned to the office per protocol. At 0200, I walked the route, and there were figures everywhere. I counted 9, standing in clearings, on rooftops of the false front buildings, at the edges of shadow cast by the street lamps, all wearing dark coats, hoods up, all motionless, all watching. I walked through them like they were pylons on a track. I checked doors. I noted the saloon light at 0219. I completed the route at 0301. The knocking came at 0315. Office door. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 knocks. It continued for 10 minutes. I sat at the desk and did not move. At 0400, I walked the final route. The figures were gone. The lot was empty except for snow and wind and the familiar shapes of buildings and sets. I checked every door. I circled the red shed. I inspected the northeast fence, the gap unchanged. Tracks everywhere, no new ones. I checked the church. Doors closed and locked. I completed the route at 0436 and returned to the office. I logged it. I sat at the desk and waited for dawn. At 0600 exactly, the radio crackled. Office, this is Petra. Morning check-in, confirm status. Petra, this is overnight maintenance. Shift complete. Church doors open at midnight, secured per protocol. Saloon light at 0219. Gap at northeast fence unchanged. No other issues. Acknowledged. I'm 10 minutes out. Unlock the gate and meet me at the parking area. A copy. I unlocked the gate at 0602 and walked out to the parking lot. The access road was clear, pavement wet but passable. My car was still buried in snow, but the lot itself had been plowed at some point, probably early morning. At 0610, headlights appeared on the access road and a white pickup truck pulled in. Petra was 50, compact, with graying hair in a practical bun and eyes that looked like they'd seen the protocols enforced many times. She got out, nodded to me, and walked to the gate. 5 nights solo in the storm, she said. That's good work. Dutch said you'd either quit in 2 nights or last the week. You lasted. Thanks. She pulled a white envelope from her jacket and handed it to me. 12,000, cash. Count it if you want. I opened the envelope. Stacks of hundreds bound in paper bands. It looked right. I pocketed it. The protocols, I said. What happens if you break them? Nothing good, but you followed them, so it doesn't matter. She looked past me at the lot. Storm's over. We'll get a day crew in here to clear snow and check the structures. You're done. Thank you. What's in the red shed? I don't know. She met my eyes. And I don't want to. Neither should you. She walked to her truck, retrieved a clipboard from the cab, and came back. Sign here. Confirms you completed the work and received payment. I signed. She took the clipboard, handed me a business card. We do this every winter, usually December and January. If you want the same job next year, call that number in November. You're reliable. We like that. I looked at the card. Just a phone number, no name, no company. What about the people? I asked. The ones in the coats, the tracks. You followed protocol. You're fine. That's what matters. She climbed back into her truck. Drive safe. Roads are clear south of here. She left. I stood in the parking lot and looked back at the lot. The main street, the false fronts, the church steeple just visible over the rooftops. In daylight, it looked exactly like what it was, a film set, dressed with snow, waiting for cameras and actors and craft services trucks. I got in my car. It took 10 minutes to dig it out enough to move. I drove down the access road, through the forest, back toward the last real town. The envelope of cash sat heavy in my jacket. $12,000. 5 nights of walking routes and following rules. I didn't look back. 3 weeks later, mid-January, I got a text from an unknown number. Roads closed again. Need coverage, Jan 1822. Same rate. Interested? I thought about it for 2 days. Then I replied, yes. The protocols exist because people didn't follow them and things went bad. I don't know the history. I don't want to. I just know that if you follow the list exactly, you'll be fine. I've worked the lot 6 times now. 6 winter shifts, sometimes 5 days, sometimes 7, always alone, always overnight. I've learned the rules so well I don't need to read the laminated sheet anymore. I walk the routes by internal clock, 38 minutes every time, doors checked by muscle memory, anomalies noted by reflex. The figures still come, the tracks still appear, the church doors still open at midnight. The saloon light still glows between 2200 and 0300. The knocking continues. I follow the protocols. I am writing this for the next person, whoever they are. The one who takes this job because they need the money, and because nobody else wants to work alone in the winter on a shuttered film lot in the mountains. You'll get the laminated sheet. You'll get the amendment pages, you'll get the verbal briefing from whoever hands off the shift. But you won't get the texture, the weight, the specific reality of what it means to follow these rules for 5 or 7 nights in the dark. So I'm writing it down. First, the rules are not metaphors. They are not guidelines. They are exact specifications for surviving a very specific set of conditions. When the rule says exactly, it means exactly. When it says do not, it means do not. There is no interpretation. There is no latitude. Second, you will want to know why. You will see something that makes no sense, a gap under a fence that grows nightly, a light in a window during a prohibited time, a door that opens when it should be locked, and you will want to understand the mechanism. You will want to investigate. You will want to document beyond what the protocols require. Do not. The job is not to understand. The job is to maintain compliance. Third, you will see people, figures. They will look real. They will stand and watch and sometimes follow. You will want to help them, confront them, or at least confirm they exist. Do not acknowledge them. Do not speak to them. Do not write about them in the log unless a rule specifically requires it. They are part of the conditions the protocols are designed to handle. Your job is to route around them the way you route around the red shed. Fourth, the night between 0200 and 0400 is the hardest. That's when the temptations peak. That's when you'll hear voices you recognize, knocking that sounds urgent, movement that suggests someone needs help. The protocols exist because someone at some point responded to these things. Don't be that person. Fifth, keep the timing. The routes must happen at 2000, 2200, midnight, 0200, 0400. They must take between 35 and 45 minutes. If you rush, you'll miss things: a door that's come unsealed, a window that's no longer dark, a gap that's grown. If you dawdle, you'll be outside during transition windows when the rules shift. Keep the timing. Sixth, the church is the keystone. If the doors are open at midnight, you close them and you skip that route. No exceptions. I don't know why. I don't know what happens if you enter. I just know that every amendment sheet emphasizes this rule, and Petra's voice gets hard when she confirms it during check-ins. Respect it absolutely. Seventh, the red shed between 2000 and 0500 is forbidden. Do not approach it. Do not look at it for more than a few seconds. Route around it at least 15 yards of clearance. I have walked past it 40 times now, and I still don't know what's inside. I know the padlock is always in place. I know the snow around it sometimes shows handprints, not boot prints. I know that on 2 occasions I've heard something moving inside it, a slow dragging sound like heavy fabric on metal. Route around it. Eighth, the office is your sanctuary, but it's not impenetrable. Knocking will happen. Voices will call your name if you give your name. They'll use it. The covered mirror in the bathroom will sometimes show light beneath the cover. The radio will crackle with not quite messages. Ignore all of it. The office protects you as long as you don't respond to things that aren't covered by protocols. Ninth, Petra will check in every morning at 0600. Her voice is steady, professional, and she asks the same questions every time. Confirm status, note anomalies, confirm supplies. Answer concisely. Do not elaborate. Do not ask questions about the why, the history, or the mechanisms. She won't answer, and you'll sound like someone who's starting to test boundaries. Just report, acknowledge, and sign off. 10th, the money is real. 12,000 for 5 nights, proportional for longer shifts. Cash. No taxes. No paperwork beyond a basic sign-off. It's enough to make rent for months, pay off debt, buy time. It's enough to be worth the weirdness. But only if you follow the protocols. Here are the protocols as they exist now, January of this year. They may be amended. If you're reading this because you've taken the job, check the binder for updates. What I'm writing here is the foundation. Overnight maintenance protocols, winter season. 1. Gate locks at 1800 hours. Gate unlocks at 0600 hours. Use red key. No exceptions. 2. Walking route begins at 2000, 2200, midnight, 0200, and 0400. Log start and finish times in the notebook. Route must take between 35 and 45 minutes. Do not deviate. 3. Check all doors on the route. Do not open them. If a door is open, close it and move on. Do not enter. 4. Between 2200 and 0300, all windows on Main Street must remain dark. If you see light inside a building during this window, do not approach the building. Note the location and continue your route. 5. The saloon building is always locked. Do not attempt to open it. Do not look through the windows. 6. If you hear voices during your route, do not respond. Continue walking at normal pace. 7. The red storage shed behind the hotel facade is off limits. Do not approach it between 2000 and 0500. 8. If you encounter another person on the lot between 1800 and 0600, do not acknowledge them. Maintain your route. 9. At midnight exactly, check the exterior door of the church set. It must be closed. If it is open, close it. Return to the office, and do not perform the midnight route. Resume routes at 0200. 10. Radio check at 0600 only. State your name and shift complete no issues or specify issues. Wait for Petra's acknowledgement before unlocking the gate. 11. If the power fails, remain in the office. Do not perform walking routes during a power failure. Wait for power restoration or dawn, whichever comes first. 12. Do not use the bathroom in the Opera House building. Use the office facility only. 13. Footsteps on gravel behind you are normal maintenance sounds. Do not turn around to check. 14. If you see movement in the trees beyond the perimeter fence, note the time and location in the notebook. Do not investigate. Amendment effective November 10. 15. Do not accept food or drink from anyone other than yourself. If you find food in the office that you did not bring, dispose of it in the outside dumpster immediately. 16. The mirror in the office bathroom is covered for maintenance. Do not remove the cover. 17. If the radio activates on its own outside of 0600 check-in, do not respond. Turn the volume down and wait for silence. 18. Between midnight and 0300, the church bell may ring once. This is normal. If it rings more than once, return to the office immediately and do not leave until 0500. Amendment B, effective December 2, 19. During snow conditions, check the perimeter fence at the northeast corner during your 0400 route. If there are tracks leading into the lot from the forest, note the time and location. Do not follow the tracks. 20. The Opera House building must remain locked at all times. If you find the door unlocked, do not enter. Lock it with the master key on the blue keyring and return to the office. 21. If you hear knocking from inside any building, do not respond. Continue your route. Amendment C, effective January 8. This is new, added after my 4th shift. 22. Do not answer knocks on the office door under any circumstances. Remain inside and wait for silence. 23. If figures are observed watching you during routes, do not acknowledge them. Do not include them in the written log unless they speak or physically block your path. 24. The northeast fence gap will increase during snow events. Note the size in the log, but do not attempt to repair or block it. Maintenance will address it between seasons. 25. If you find boot prints inside the office in the morning, dispose of any items that have been moved or added. Do not use any equipment or supplies that were not present when you began your shift. That's the complete list as of this writing. Study it. Memorize it. The laminated sheet in the office will match this, but the amendments are in the binder, and they're easy to miss if you don't read carefully. Now let me tell you about the experiences you'll have that aren't covered explicitly but that you need to understand. The figures will appear around the third or fourth night. Before that, you might see one or two, distant, ambiguous. By night 4, there will be many. They wear dark coats or jackets, always with hoods up, always facing you. They don't move when you look at them directly, but they reposition between routes. You'll pass a figure standing by the post office, and on the next route, that figure will be behind the boarding house. You'll never see them move. You'll just see them in different places. Do not try to identify them. Do not try to see faces under the hoods. Do not shine your flashlight directly at them. Just note their positions peripherally and keep walking. They are part of the landscape. Treat them like set decorations. The boot prints in the snow will not make sense. They'll spiral. They'll lead from nowhere to nowhere. They'll cluster around buildings and then vanish mid-path. They'll sometimes show impossible gate lengths, 8 feet between prints, 10 feet, 12 feet. Do not try to analyze them. Note them if protocol requires it, otherwise ignore them. The knocking from inside buildings follows patterns. The opera house knocks in sets of 3, slow and evenly spaced. The boarding house sometimes knocks in rapid sequences, 5 or 6 knocks in quick succession. The hotel sometimes knocks on windows from the inside, glass rattling in frames. Follow Rule 21. Do not respond. Continue your route. The knocking has never broken glass. The knocking has never forced a door. It's just knocking. The voices you hear will sometimes use names. If you tell anyone your name during the handoff, the voices will use it. Hey, Sarah, can you help me with something? Tom, I think I'm locked in here. Maria, please, I need help. The voices sound distressed. They sound real. They are not real in any way that matters for your job. Do not respond. The church doors opening at midnight will happen most nights. Not every night, but most. Follow protocol exactly. Close them, lock them, return to the office, skip the midnight route. Resume at 0200. I have never seen what's inside the church during these events. The one time I tried to shine my flashlight through the open doors before closing them, the beam stopped 6 feet in, like it was hitting a wall of black felt. I closed the doors immediately. Don't experiment. The light in the saloon appears in different windows, but always on the second floor, always between 2200 and 0300. It's a pale yellow light, steady, not flickering. I have never seen a shadow move in front of it. I have never seen it turn on or off. It's just present during one route and absent the next. Note it and move on. The covered mirror in the office bathroom will sometimes glow. You'll see light around the edges of the fabric that covers it, a cold blue-white light that doesn't match any fixture in the building. When this happens, leave the bathroom immediately. Do not use the toilet or sink while the mirror is glowing. Wait 10 minutes and check again. The glow will be gone. Then you can use the facilities. This has happened to me 4 times. The radio will sometimes activate on its own. You'll hear static, then fragments of conversation, never full sentences, just pieces. Northeast corner. Don't go in. 3 of them now. The voices sound like recordings, flat and effectless. Follow Rule 17. Turn the volume down. Wait for silence. Do not respond. Do not try to parse meaning from the fragments. After 30 seconds to 2 minutes, it will stop. Turn the volume back up so you can hear Petra's 0600 check-in. The space heater will sometimes turn off on its own, even though it's plugged in and the breaker hasn't tripped. When this happens, check the plug. It will be disconnected, pulled cleanly from the wall socket, the cord lying on the floor. Plug it back in. Do not investigate further. This has happened to me twice. Both times between 0300 and 0400. You will find things moved in the office. A chair turned to face the wall. The notebook open to a blank page with a pen lying across it. The microwave door standing open. Your jacket on the floor when you hung it on the hook. Do not try to determine when these movements happen. Just return things to their proper state and continue your shift. If you find items that weren't there before, food, clothing, tools, photographs, dispose of them in the outside dumpster per Rule 15. Do not examine them closely. The northeast fence gap grows. By the end of a 5-night shift in heavy snow, it will be 4 to 5 feet wide. The chain link will be bent upward and back, the bottom edge crimped and twisted. The tunnel beneath will be packed smooth, like something has crawled through it many times. Boot prints will surround it. Do not attempt to repair it. Do not block it. Note the size in your log and move on. Between seasons, a repair crew apparently addresses it because each shift starts with only a small gap, but it always comes back. Now, the things that have never happened to me, but that I've heard about through margin notes in the log, through Dutch's warnings, through Petra's careful phrasings. Do not enter any building. I cannot stress this enough. The protocols say check doors, not open doors. If you violate this, I don't know what happens. But a margin note from 3 years ago, in handwriting that's not Dutch's or Petra's, says, opened the boarding house, came back different, quit next morning. There's no detail, just that, different, quit, don't find out what it means. Do not follow the boot prints into the forest. Rule 19 says note them, not follow them. A log entry from 2 winters ago says followed tracks to tree line, heard voice, returned to office, did not complete routes. The rest of that shift's logs are erratic routes logged at wrong times, notes that don't match protocol language, times that overlap impossibly. Whoever wrote that finished the shift but never came back for another. Do not stay past 0600. Unlock the gate on time. Leave the lot by 0630. A log entry from 4 years ago says, stayed until 0800 to clean office. Saw crew arrive. Crew saw me but didn't acknowledge. Felt wrong. No details on what wrong means. Just that the day crew apparently operates under different protocols and your presence during their hours violates something. Do not bring anyone with you. This job is solo. A margin note, date unclear, says, brought girlfriend for midnight route. She saw things I didn't. We separated. Found her at gate at 0400. Won't talk about it. The handwriting is shaky on that entry. There's no follow-up. Do not use any substance that impairs your judgment or timing. No alcohol, no recreational drugs, no sleep medications that might make you groggy during routes. A log entry from last season says, took melatonin at 2300, overslept, woke at 0130, performed routes late rest of shift, experienced disorientation and time skips, do not take sleep aids. The timing matters, the exactness matters. Stay sharp. One more thing. The emergency protocols. These activate only under specific conditions, usually power failure or severe weather that makes routes dangerous. I've only used them once, during a blizzard so intense that visibility dropped to 0 and the wind chill hit -30. Petra radioed at 0600 the previous morning and said, weather forecast critical. Emergency protocols in effect beginning 2000 tonight. Do you copy? I copied. The amendment sheet in the binder had a section I'd never needed before. Emergency protocols, severe weather or power failure. Alpha. If weather conditions make walking routes dangerous, remain in the office from 1800 until 0600. Do not leave the office for any reason except fire. Bravo. During emergency lockdown, keep all lights on. Do not turn off the space heater. Do not sleep. Charlie, monitor the radio continuously. Petra will check in every 2 hours. Acknowledge each check-in with office secure, standing by. Delta. If you hear activity outside the office during emergency lockdown, do not investigate. Note the time and type of sound in the log. Echo. If the office door handle moves, do not respond. Remain seated at the desk, facing the door. Wait for the handle to stop moving. I followed these protocols for 1 full night. Petra checked in at 2000, 2200 midnight, 0200, 0400, and 0600. Each time I acknowledged, office secure, standing by. Between check-ins, I sat at the desk with every light on, the space heater running, the radio volume up. I did not sleep. I did not leave. At 2300, I heard footsteps circling the office, boots crunching through deep snow, slow and methodical. They circled for 15 minutes, then stopped. I noted the time and type of sound. At 0100, the door handle moved. It turned slowly downward, testing the lock. It held. The handle returned to neutral. 10 seconds later, it moved again. Down, held, released. This continued for 6 minutes. I sat at the desk, facing the door, watching the handle move. I did not respond. After 6 minutes, it stopped. I noted the time. At 0300, something heavy scraped against the exterior wall, a long, dragging sound that moved from the door to the window and back again. It repeated 4 times, then stopped. I noted the time and type of sound. At 0500, the church bell rang. Not once, not twice, 7 times. Slow, evenly spaced. I noted the time and count. Rule 18 said if it rings more than once, return to the office immediately and do not leave until 0500. But I was already in the office, and it was 0500. I stayed seated. At 0600, Petra called. Office, this is Petra. Emergency protocols lifted, weather clearing, confirm status. Petra, this is overnight maintenance. Office secure, activity logged, no breaches, standing by. Acknowledged. Roads are passable. Resume normal protocols tonight. Good work, Petra out. That was the only time I've used emergency protocols. I hope I don't need to again. But if you do, follow them exactly. Do not deviate. Do not investigate. The office is secure as long as you maintain compliance. I'm writing this in my apartment, 3 weeks after my last shift. I've done 6 shifts total. I'll do more. The money is good and the work is straightforward, but it requires a specific mindset. You have to be able to see strange things and not seek explanation. You have to be able to hear disturbing things and not respond. You have to be able to follow rules that make no sense and trust that they work. If you're reading this, you've probably already taken the job. You've probably already talked to Petra, met Dutch, or whoever's handing off the shift now, received the red key and the blue key and the instructions to read the protocols carefully. Good. You'll be fine if you follow them. But let me give you one final piece of advice that's not in the protocols, not in the amendments, not in any official document. Keep a routine outside of the routes. Make coffee at regular times. Eat meals at consistent intervals. Do small tasks between routes. Organize your duffel. Wipe down the desk. Inventory your supplies. Write in a personal journal if that helps. The routes give the shift structure, but the hours between routes are long and dark, and the lot is right outside the office window doing whatever it does. If you just sit and listen and wait, you'll start to hear patterns. You'll start to notice details. You'll start to ask questions. Don't ask questions, just do the job. The lot is a place where specific rules create specific safety. Outside those rules, there is no safety. Dutch told me that on my first night. I've proven it true across 6 shifts. The figures, the tracks, the lights, the voices, the knocking, the bells, the gaps, the movements, all of it exists in a framework that the protocols navigate. Follow the protocols and the framework contains you. Leave the protocols and the framework, I don't know. Nobody who's left the protocols has written a margin note about what happens next. They just stop showing up. So show up. Follow the list. Walk the routes. Check the doors. Note the anomalies. Acknowledge nothing. Respond to nothing. Investigate nothing. At 0600, Petra will call. You'll confirm status. She'll acknowledge. You'll unlock the gate, walk to your car, and drive away. You'll have cash in your pocket and a story you'll never be able to tell anyone who wasn't there. And in 11 months, Petra will text you again. Roads closing, need coverage. Same rate. Interested? You'll think about it. You'll remember the footsteps, the figures, the knocking, the cold, the darkness, the weight of following rules you don't understand. And you'll say yes, because the money is good, because the job is straightforward, because you've proven you can do it, and because somewhere in the back of your mind, you're curious what amendment they'll add next. I'll see you out there. Not during your shift, I'm never there when anyone else is. But I'll see the logs you write. I'll read your notes. I'll see that you followed protocol, that you completed your routes, that you survived. And then I'll take the next shift and I'll follow the protocols and I'll survive. That's the job. That's all the job is. Follow the protocols. Nothing more. Nothing less. The lot is waiting.